Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Attacking Third. I'm here with my man, Austin Hamlin. Austin, before you start, I'm just going to let you know I am a little heated today, so just bear with me, but welcome to the show.
Dude, I am equally as heated. I'm just very tired from work today, so the general energy isn't really there for me. But dude, that match was rough, man. But I mean, at the same time, like, what did you expect from a team that now has Messi on it? But
You know what? Before we start the match, let me just say this to the whole Philadelphia Union, to all the fans. The Philadelphia Union are going to start to spend money. They're going to have to. If we want to stay relevant, if we want soccer to grow in the Philadelphia area, we are going to have to spend some money.
100%.
That's it. There's nothing else that we can do right now. This is where the league is going. This is what Miami did. I'm not saying we go out and get Messi. I'm saying we need to spend some money because right now, if they keep bringing people from Europe over here, and as you can see, Messi's not all the way in his prime. He's a little older, and he's still killing people. I understand. I'm not comparing everybody to Messi, but you see the big difference.
Yeah.
Not only did they completely just beat the brakes out of the Union, we came out that game like we were in high school playing against the most dominant team in the state. It was just absolutely ridiculous. We came out with just zero preparation. We looked starstruck. We looked nervous. And it showed 3 minutes in when you let Martinez, not Messi, you let Martinez open the score for you. Never in my life would I thought that I would be saying that Blake was shook before the game even started. Blake doesn't get like this. This is very unlike him. Every single shot that he saw, well, the first two, but the shots that he saw, he stops 9 out of 10 times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was absolutely ridiculous, and I'm going to tell you right now, the blame goes to Jim Curtin.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It was a very bad formation choice to start off the match, like I was saying in the post-game show Tuesday night. The main thing that I keep pointing out is what wound up leading to that first goal was that they had Daniel Gazdag shadowing Sergio Busquets just a bit too much, and it just wound up being a really tough go for him in terms of, giving up that space. And yeah, Damian Lau wasn't really as effective as he normally was. Having Leon Flock start was not a very solid choice in my opinion. And the main one that I always talk about is another one that I was talking about a good bit during the post game show was the choice to start Chris Donovan. It just did not look great. Like Diego's saying right now, it should have been Uwa, McGlynn, and Bizo with running the standard 4-4-2. I feel because we wound up getting some really solid chances in the second half, transitioning back to the 4-4-2, and like Steven here saying, it absolutely disappointed in the way they played that game.
It's the way they played, it's the way they came out, it's the way they perform. It's everything. The only thing that I would disagree with Diego, I agree with everything he said, except I am not as much against starting Harriel back there just because of the way that Miami plays. Bizo, it's good in attacking. If we're going to start McGlynn and we're going to start Ua, I'm actually okay with Harriel starting in the back and then maybe bring in Bizo later on. But you're absolutely right in terms of Flack shouldn't be anywhere near the field. Not to start anyway. Not right off the bat. You have to start McGlynn right, because we know Miami's back line is not good. It hasn't been good all year. They added Busquets to the middle, and he is a good defensive mid. I'll give him that. He is good, but Their back line is not good. Their goalie is not good. The Philadelphia Union had 15 shots. 4 of them were on target, and the ball just didn't go in. We had 8 corners to none of Miami. Like, opportunities were there, we just didn't capitalize. And highly because and Diego, I mean, if you were there, you could tell, like, right off the bat, it's the first thing I said was they look nervous. Why did they look nervous? They knew who was coming, right? They knew who they were going against. The Miami team shouldn't make you nervous. Messi should make you nervous. But as Brujo actually did a good job, other than the goal, we let him go a little too much. He did a good job marking Messi, as well as you can mark a player like Messi. Brujo actually did okay.
Yeah,
Messi scored, and then he was involved in a couple plays, but that's it.
Yeah, get it, and the help that he was getting from Jose Bueno was giving them a lot more afterthought to making plays towards him, because of the fact that they were collapsing very well as the ball was moving forward. The second they saw Messi starting to make a move, anyone that was nearby to help was pinching over, which was great. And I just feel like it's one of those things, like, no matter how much you try and plan for everyone, you're either going to be able to plan for Messi or everyone around Messi. You can't do both, because there's absolutely no way that, like, with the level of pace, obviously, as you can tell now, with the level of pace they have and the dangerous people they have outside of him, the second that you start to overcompensate towards one other player, someone else is getting free. And it was really tough go all around, honestly. And like Diego said, Curtin thought he could beat Messi 1-0 with the lineup put out there. He was playing scared. And
he 100% played scared.
And I said at halftime of that match, when in our group chat, I said he went with a defensive formation and then allowed them to play timid defense. And it was very rough to have to sit back and watch that slowly just open up further and further before the first half even ended.
Yeah, and listen, I probably would have started Ua up top. Donovan didn't do a horrible job. Like, if we're being real, he didn't do a horrible job. He just wasn't ready for the magnitude of this game. This is the most people that Super Park has seen in a very long time. Half of maybe not half, but a lot of them were there for Messi. The amount of eyes that this guy brings to the league is the reason why he's here, and it's the reason why we're hoping that it grows the sport to where it competes with other leagues. But you cannot play this team like you're playing just Messi. You got to come out and you got to be prepared. We weren't prepared, and we were scared. And, we were playing not to lose instead of playing to win, which is absolutely ridiculous in a team like Miami. I understand. Obviously, I know what Messi is, but there's 11 people out there. There's a reason why Jordi Alba was so open for that goal, right? There's a reason for that, and I get it. You're gonna get those sometimes, but you also got to give yourself a chance. But we didn't give ourselves a chance at all. We were just playing from behind, and we're playing scared the whole game, and it was just absolutely ridiculous. I think I lost Austin for a little while, but let me just keep going. This is something that I'm not used to seeing from Jim Curtin. It really surprised me. I'm highly disappointed at him. I think. I think we are much better than this. I wish I could tell everybody that I know what Jim was thinking, but we all know that he probably was just scared because he was seeing Messi score 8 goals in 5 different games. He played just like that. He saw the goals where he was able to do, and he played that way. If you would have just put Martinez to shadow Messi the whole game, and then he breaks open, he's going to score. That's fine. But then the other people have to come out and play. You can go ahead and have your back line playing the way they usually do, and then have just Martinez shadow Messi. But they didn't do that. Even our back line, our great back line in the MLS, between Elliott, Glesnes, and Lowe. That formation to start with was just I don't know. As soon as I saw it, I shook my head because against Miami and knowing what kind of offense that Messi brings with Miami, you start with three in the back. I disagreed with that as soon as I saw it. Lowe, as good as he's been in the last couple of games, I don't think this was the chance to put him out there. You should have removed him at somebody else in the minute and played with four in the back, like we should have done. But it is what it is. He did what he did, and they put ourselves in a position where we just playing from behind against a team like Miami is now. It's tough because one, you still have to worry about Lionel Messi. You have to now worry about Busquets, which he's still good. He lost a step or two, but he's still very good. And then you have Jordi, which is just so much experience between just the 1, 2, 3 that it commands some attention, but they shifted to the wrong formation. I don't think they helped each other at all in that sense, and it was very frustrating to watch. Even though we had so many chances, because 15 shots to their 5, which they score in 4 of them. So Miami came to play. Miami scores, so you've seen it this whole cup. And as much as I understand where Jim was coming from, playing scared is very different than playing a defensive game. He came out and played scared. You don't put a back line of 3 the way you did and then put Flock in for defensive purposes. Why not just put 4 back there and call it a day instead of having Flock? Flock is not ready to play in that middle against those players. He's just not. I mean, he hasn't been. He's good at contested balls. He's good at certain things, but if you're looking to create, if you're looking to actually get something done with the ball, Fleck's not your guy. He's never been your guy. Fleck's the guy that you bring in minute 68 when you're up by 2, and then you want to control the middle a little bit more defensively. So these are the kinds of things that I think Jim might have overthought, and it really is frustrating and very disappointing because we know how good Jim can be in terms of getting a plan together, getting this team ready. He's done a great job in the last couple of years, and I've said that plenty of times. But when you bring players that know what they're doing, that have been doing this at a high level for a long time, and it just goes to show that the MLS, as much as it pains me to say this, it just has a lot of work to do, man. We really do. We have a lot of work to do in terms of talent. But what I said earlier today, it's true. Like we have to just start spending some money. That's the way the league is going right now, and that's what they're hoping for. I mean, that's why they brought Messi over here in the first place. They brought him here so he can change the league, so he can attract players, so he can attract younger talent to come over here, maybe start their career, play a couple years, and then head somewhere else. It's going to be up to the teams. A team like the Philadelphia Union, they don't like to spend money. That's completely understandable. I completely get it. We like to make it, and we're very good at getting a good return for what we pay for to begin with. But at some point, that's just going to keep you stagnant. It's just not going to take you anywhere. Last year, obviously, we played for the finals. Very different league without the Miami's 10. But I mean, now that we're out, that we have to make sure that we just kind of shake this one off. And I gotta tell you, it's gonna be very hard to shake a game like this off against an opponent like this because they know the Miami team. They know that they're, as a whole, the players around Messi, other than Busquets, Jordi, I'm going to say Martinez because he's good at what he does up top. They're just not that good. And they completely just abused the Union. I mean, 4-1, and the one goal you had was I'm probably going to, I don't want to make Austin mad, but the goal you had was the goal that we scored was just your typical Bedoya goal where it was off bounce and just right in the goal.
I 100% agree. Also, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Welcome back. I was just talking to everybody.
That Bedoya goal was literally the standard. Like, Bedoya just happened to be in the right spot at the right time to be able to get an attempt at net, and he wound up getting a goal. I just wanted to really quickly, since we're talking about this, we had somebody chime in early on in the conversation here. I want to welcome in a previous guest of the show, good friend of the show, from Across the Pitch podcast, our good friend Jose Nunez. Jose, what's up, buddy? Welcome to the show,
how's it going, man?
I'm doing well, Gustavo. I'm glad that we can have a gathering without too many technical issues. Though we just watched Austin go away for like 5 minutes.
Dude, it's a whole story for after the show.
Yeah, man, you have me up here doing a monologue, man. What are you doing?
No,
blame Verizon.
No, I'm doing well. I appreciate you guys having me hop on. It was an interesting day, and obviously, from what I've heard so far, I think we have a lot of opinions that are similar to kind of how I'm feeling, but also some ways that I think we might differ. But I'm excited to talk about it. As crazy and disappointing as the day was, there's no denying that the man puts butts in seats, whether they're wearing blue and gold or black and pink. That's a different story. But all in all, what an exciting day in Chester. Would have never imagined that we'd see people pull over on the bridge to watch from the side of the road. Unbelievable scenes out there.
I was sitting there watching, and I said to myself, I was like, Messi is in Delco. I never in my life thought that I would ever say that Messi was in Delco.
I had always thought the closest that we would get would be the Bedford Messi, not the actual one.
No, all in all, I can't recall. Was Diego there? And I must admit
Yeah.
Okay, so he was credentialed. Good. I must admit, I must just be super, super open about just how happy and proud I am of our front office in terms of the PR side at the very least. You can talk about the ticketing, whatever. I have some opinions about it, probably more positive than most people. Again, full transparency, season ticket holder, I opted into the tournament. I didn't have to pay the crazy prices. My seats were like $30 a pop or whatever it was, or 40 some bucks for a pop. So I was fine. No issues there. But in terms of the PR, I was really proud, having heard horror stories in Dallas as well as Miami ever since this man landed, of local outlets and content creators like myself and even you guys, Diego specifically, who shows up to games from time to time, just being declined immediately. So because you have the big boys, the CBSs of the world, the ESPNs,
right.
NBCs of the world, TYC Sports, Sky Sports, suddenly flocking into the stadium, wanting to be involved, wanting to get a piece of the action, and then never coming back again for a whole year. Or, I think it would be the most Union thing for us to see this man again in the playoffs somehow.
Yeah.
So I must admit that I'm very, very happy with our front office and making sure that local folks that have been covering the team from the beginning, or like myself, the last at least 2 years, or a year and a half, but been following the team for a while, were included first. And frankly, selfishly, I was front row in the press box, which is an honor, and it's really cool, versus some bigger names behind me. So I just wanted to say that out loud for those that maybe don't see too inside of the baseball, inside baseball type of look. So what can I share?
Well, first, I know we were talking about, I specifically started talking about how we came out. And to me, and I don't know if you heard part of my my rant.
I heard the whole rant.
But to me, they came out, I want to say Jim had a scared game plan, but I feel like the players didn't come out scared. I think they came out a little starstruck because they seemed a little rattled to me, and even Blake, which was it's ridiculous to say, but that's what I noticed.
Now, listen, Blake has been the victim of 3 worldies against this team, right? 2 in Miami, one who was off a Duke right off of his chest, and then a volley, then a shot from outside the box, right side going onto the left side, I think, and now this Messi goal from 30 some yards away, which whatever ESPN
9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, it stops him. I would say 9.9 out of 10 times he stops them, right? So, to your comment on Jim, he was very open during the press conference, and I was there, and I've been putting some content from the press conference over the last couple of days, and he was very clear that maybe I showed too much respect, right? Maybe I was too careful about the lineup that I put out, and it's so apparent, right? And I think I must admit, I don't think that this was the game where you teach Mikel Ua a lesson by not starting him, right? I don't care how bad his performance was against the previous opponent, which was Red Bull, against Red Bull.
Yeah.
I don't care what the previous performance was like. You do not bench him over Donovan in a game with Lionel Messi, Jordi Alba, and Sergio Busquets, right? So having sat next to a pretty prominent MLS writer, I asked them the question, is this sort of, do you feel like this is maybe the beginning of the end of the honeymoon? And he looked at me and said, feels like it. I mean, this is not a good look, right? When one of your most expensive players is just not even brought in, the 60th minute? I can't even remember when he came in. I was so pissed off.
No, yeah, I think 63rd, something like that.
Did he? Who came in? There were two subs at the half. It was McGlynn and whom, because Flock and Bueno left the pitch, and I think McGlynn came in.
Yeah.
And Ua was that Ua? I think
anyways,
it was at the half.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is that the changes were entirely too late. Where some of these shifts should have been before the game started.
Yeah,
I think we can all agree on that.
Should have been out there. We can all agree on that.
Right. And I think he's done great things for the union. I think that maybe his place in the team is questionable at this point in the way that other players have sort of, grown in terms of Jesus Bueno. But Leon Flock just feels like a man that's out of place right now in this squad. And again, year after year that we've watched him leading the team in miles traveled, as in, running around the field game after game, or at least when we would get that stat before the Apple deal, right? How many kilometers or miles the man ran. So he would always be at the very top. So it almost feels like a man who's out of place. And again, having just come back from a lengthy stint away due to injury, the nagging hip that he continues to get shot after shot to sort of relieve the pain, you throw him into Red Bull, does what I think is not a great job. I'm, again, just an outsider looking in, right? I'm by no means am I a professional coach or a professional to be able to really question, but to me, it looked like it was rough. Jim said that he did his job, which is whatever, his opinion. But then you throw him into this game. It's an unbelievable amount of pressure to throw this guy who, again, didn't have a great game the game before, and you're going to throw him against 3 of the best players who have ever graced this sport. Never mind the very best to ever play it. So questionable decisions all around, and that's a bummer, right? As we continue to sort of walk through the narrative, and I don't even know if that's the right term, but Kevin Kincaid with Crossing Broad just putting out a list of all the different shortcomings of Jim Curtin in games that matter, right? You have semifinals and you have finals where Jim has just beat himself trying to play 4D chess. So yeah, it's a difficult one, and even post game talking to Alejandro Bedoya, very clear that maybe we showed too much respect, right? We were too focused on being careful and being mindful that we beat ourselves, to give up a goal and then let Josef Martinez just be able to lay off the ball for Messi and scored from 30 some yards out without any pressure whatsoever. it's a difficult situation to work through, and I'm wondering what Saturday's going to be like. And I'll be there. I'll be as press and gonna see this whole thing out.
Yeah, it was kind of honestly, in my opinion, it was really a story of two halves because they definitely came out more aggressive in the second half. But the main thing that you just touched on, and I'll even expand upon it a bit further, the lack of pressure on Christos coming forward that led to the ball getting into Martinez to get the first goal. And then after the Messi goal in added time at the end of the first half, the lack of pressure on Morris as he's coming forward, or no, Robert Taylor, I'm sorry. The lack of pressure on him as he's coming forward to get that ball to Jordi Alba on that outside run to allow him to get his goal with three minutes into added time at the end of the first half. It was a lot of like I said again, repeating what I had said in the group chat. It was a defensive set with very timid defense, and it I 100% agree with what what Curtin said, with what Bedoya said. I feel like they definitely had a bit too much respect for not just Messi, but the team overall with what Messi has made them.
I think one thing that I want to be very clear about, and I think, Gustavo, maybe this is where you and I differ a little bit, and maybe you alluded to it before I jumped on, Austin, but some are claiming that Messi did not have a particularly great game, but those standards are so high that, him not having a good game means that he was probably better than most starting 11 players in most teams. But in terms of this game specifically, whether he's scoring, which he did, or whether he's assisting, which I don't think he did, whatever, what he did in this game was draw attention, which allows the other 10 players, or 9, if you will, to have the space that they need, because he's drawing the attention of 3 other people or 4 other people who are, I got to focus on this guy, I got to focus on this guy, I got to focus on this guy, I can't lose him, allowing a Robert Taylor, allowing a Cremonchi to go ahead and find the spaces, allowing a Jordi Alba to do what he did, and never mind Sergio Busquets, but it's you cannot, I don't think you can get away with saying, if you understand the game, and I know that there's a lot of pundits and content creators who are saying that Messi didn't have a particularly great game, but he did his job, which is to get the attention of other players. Just to be super transparent on where I fall into this whole thing and his performance on the night.
Well, we don't really differ in that. Messi's bad game is everybody else's in the MLS like good game. So in terms of Messi, for him to have a bad game here, I just don't see it happening, because he, like you said, he demands so much attention that even if he isn't scoring, he's assisting. If he's not assisting, then he's scoring. If he's not doing either, then he's demanding so much attention that everybody else is open. So I don't think that he can particularly have a bad game, because he goes his presence alone is just huge in the MLS.
If I may plug a piece of content that I read today, if you have access to The Athletic, I recommend you read Pablo Maurer's article today about watching Messi over the last certainly 4 games, or certainly during his career. He's a player that is so intelligent that he doesn't need to run. You watch his games, he just walks. He's like the Andres Iniesta.
He's been doing it his whole career. Yeah, he's been doing it his whole career. Yeah.
And then you watch players like Leon Flock, who are just, zipping around the field left and right. Yeah. And it's just, such a dichotomy. So if you have access to The Athletic, I really recommend you give that a read. I was able to see Pablo at the game, and it was interesting to see him with a photography bib and a gigantic camera rather than in a press box with the computer in front of him typing away. So just wanted to plug that.
That's one of the reasons why Lionel Messi is as good as he is. It's his ability to scan the field, to know where you're going to be, to know where you're going to run before he even before it even happens. I mean, you saw it at the World Cup. He was in the last 4 games. He was involved in every single goal they had, whether he was scoring it or starting the play. he was involved in almost everyone, if not everyone. So
Yeah.
he's been doing this his whole career. With Barcelona, it was perfect because Barcelona loved to just pass the ball and kill you passing until they see an opening and then they scored. They've been doing that forever. They love to play that way. And Messi was the perfect player for them because that's what he did. Scan, let's see an opening, let's go kill. And to bring that over here, that's why you don't see Messi. I was watching him with a friend of mine. He doesn't particularly love, or watch soccer as much as I do, or done my whole life. But he kept saying, why isn't Messi running? And it was hard for me to explain to him that he doesn't need to, because to him it's like, okay, if you're on the pitch, like run, hustle, like he has that mentality. But it was hard for me to explain to him that Lionel Messi doesn't need to do that. Not at this point in his career, not when he was playing in Spain, and obviously he moved a lot more over there, but he doesn't really need to, because what you just said, he kills you in so many ways, which is the reason why a lot of people have him as the greatest of all time. It's because there's, other than maybe sometimes his defense, he'll kill you in every other aspect of the game, and I kept saying I understand where Jim was coming from having the lineup that he did, and like his mentality, because he did put, I'm going to use your words, put a lot of respect on him. I think he played scared, but he did put a lot of respect on Lionel Messi, maybe a little too much. But at the same time, I think he focused a little too much on Messi himself. I said it earlier today. If I don't know if you were listening to that part, but I think Martinez did a good job. Other than the goal where he left him a little by himself so he can score, I think he did a pretty good job on Messi himself.
Yeah.
As good as you can expect, anyway. I mean, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hope I don't come off as a curmudgeon here, but I found it kind of, and I hate to use the word difficult. Who am I to judge, right? Everybody has their heroes. I know most of the time you kind of hear, don't ever go and meet your heroes, right? Because you never know how you're going to walk away from that engagement. But I found it a little troubling, maybe difficult for me to see some of the Union players on social media, saying, "Oh, what a tough loss, but I got to meet my idol," and putting pictures of them with Messi after being trounced 4-1. Like, sort of a difficult thing for me to like mentally think. Like, I don't know, man, just keep the picture printed and then don't worry about it. You don't have to post it on social media. I mean, the only one who did not do it, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, was Jesus Bueno, who just put a picture of himself playing, and that was it. Like you have Daniel Gastag. I think Kai Wagner sort of posted it too. I know Daniel for sure.
Daniel put a picture of him just looking at Messi, and even his wife commented on that picture saying, "He doesn't look at me like that."
Yeah, you had Torres, who obviously outside of his pass to Kai on the whatever game it was, I'm even losing track right now, hasn't done much, and Julian Carranza, who didn't even touch the field, go on and whatever, it is what it is, but just difficult. Though I'm intrigued from you guys to hear your thoughts. After the game and the press conference, one of the first questions that came up was about the changes that are coming to this league, both in terms of spending and rosters, etc. And I put a piece of content out and the Jim's soundbite. And one of the responses that I got to it was actually really interesting and to me thought-provoking, right? With Messi coming into the league, a lot's going to change or has to change, right? Especially when you have private entities sort of facilitating the contract, right? You have Adidas and Apple paying a good chunk of money to make sure that he's willing to take the lower salary from Miami. Mm-hmm. Who knows what the backdoor deal is in terms of ownership of the group once he's said and done. But nonetheless, that's happening. But the comment within my piece of content was, the league decided to start an arms race, and Miami is starting with a nuke.
Yeah.
right? When
Yeah.
everybody
I mean,
else will be starting from ground
yeah,
zero,
they
figuring
put
out
the best player in the world.
sticks and bones, while Miami is already, has a hydrogen bomb. So a really interesting, thought-provoking comment of like, yeah, you're right, and when you look at ownership like ours, that's, even if the rules are relaxed, I don't see a reason why Jay Sugarman would want to spend more if Jim and company are making do with what they have and going to final after final or going into semifinals with razor thin budgets. So why would Jay want to be opening up the checkbooks? I found it super
Well,
interesting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
no, you're absolutely right. And I said it once there was some kind of chirping about Messi coming into the league. I That's my first thought was, because I know how the union operate in terms of spending money. They don't really like to spend. We love to get a return for players, which again we're typically good at. But when I heard the chirping of Messi coming, and I thought to myself, well, this is going to change the league, like Beckham did when he came, right? But it's gonna be to another level. So if teams like Miami are going to go out and do this, Philadelphia's going to have to spend. Like it's not of a thought of, well, let's think. No. We're gonna, if we want to stay relevant, if we want to stay competitive, we have to spend, because other teams are not going to spend.
The only issue I see with that, though, Gustavo, is the fact that this is a league with very little to no there's no reason to, when you really think about it, right? Every single team's getting a cut of the TV deal. Every single team is selling tickets. Look at Messi, right? He's coming to at least once a year, so Jay can expect a 20,000 seated stadium. Never
Right.
mind what he gets on a weekly basis, because Jim is doing do with what he's got. So I'm I like to think that you're right, but I don't know until I actually see it. But I haven't had any signs of actually happening after however many years of, what are we at, in the 11th year, 12
Yeah.
years of this. So it's
And I'm afraid that we're going to stay that way. Sadly, I'm afraid that we're just going to keep the same mentality, and then we're going to get lost in the shuffle. Especially if other teams can start doing. Nobody's going to do this to the magnitude of Miami. Miami, like you said, dropped the nuke. Like that, nobody's going to do this, because there is no other player that's better than Lionel Messi. So, but you can get good players, right? And if we kind of stay the way that we've been doing things, I'm afraid we're going to get lost. And the traction that soccer's has been getting in Philadelphia, I don't want to see it diminish, because it's been gaining popularity in especially the last year or two, because we have been winning. So I would hate for it, and in a place like Philadelphia, such a blue collar town that loves football, love their Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, and to see the Union just kind of make their way like toward them, I would hate for it to just stop just because we just don't want to spend. And I know we don't have as much money as some other leagues, but as some other teams, sorry, but if we're not at least willing, I'm afraid that we're going to lose that commodity.
Austin. What do you make of teams like New York City, New York Red Bulls, Colorado, all who have ties to international teams, right? New York City FC with the City Group with all of the teams. Obviously, the biggest fish being Manchester City, and then you have the Red Bull, Salzburg, et cetera, et cetera. Then you have Colorado, who's partly owned by Arsenal. If these rules get relaxed to a certain extent, I think we see what we saw with New York City and sending, when Manchester City loaned Frank Lampard to New York City, right? What a
Yeah.
slap to the face
Huh.
of the league. Can you imagine what's going to happen above water if all of this gets relaxed a little bit? It could just be a training camp for most of these really, really good guys who should be in better leagues.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I feel like it's eventually going to get to that point where like you're like how Gus was saying, you need to spend money to stay relevant. It could eventually get to a point where if you don't have affiliation with a club overseas, you're also not going to be relevant. I feel like we're starting to get to that point. Like especially once we saw, Manchester City, get their partnership with NYCFC, and this whole thing with Messi coming to Miami. It's just, I feel like it's going to start to get to that point where you're either going to, if you don't either spend money or get some sort of like an EPL or some other like major world known league affiliation, you're going to fall to the wayside compared to the way the rest of the league is going to grow. And it could potentially spell a lot of disaster for a lot of these teams in some of the smaller markets where soccer is really starting to build there. Like you look at like the Nashvilles, the Charlottes, the St. Louis, like a lot of these smaller market cities in terms of, how soccer has grown, and it could potentially end up. I feel if it does go that trajectory, it could ruin a lot of organizations in MLS.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and maybe my parting comment is I gotta actually run, and I apologize to talk and run super quick.
No worries.
Don Garber being very open to the idea of sovereign wealth coming into the league, right? You think about Saudi Arabia and what they've done. I don't know how much you guys know about Vision 2030, right? Their mission to move away from oil by 2030 and diversify their investment to not have it be solely about their GDP. By 2030, and obviously sports watching is a big part of it, but their investments in the video game industry as well as housing has been just so super apparent. I'm intrigued onto what happens with a lot of the teams around this country. Obviously, if Jay Sugarman gets a call from Saudi Arabia and says, "Hey, we will give you 10 times what you paid for the union," I don't think that he would bat an eye. Neither would I, as a if I was a bean crunch, bean counter like him, right, to get 10 times on my investment. So I'd be really intrigued to see what the league looks like. And, I don't think you have to look much further than honestly 5 years to see a very, very different league with the way that, this offseason mid-season transfer window went with Miami.
I think even less than 5 years, to be honest with you. I was thinking more 3. We're going to start seeing a big change in terms of people coming in and the rules being a little more lax for players to come here, whether that's loan or anything else. Of course, having an affiliate outside of the U.S. helps because they can do something like Lampard did, which gets you thinking, right? Like if that comes to be true, like what is the Philadelphia Union prepared to do? Right, it kind of gets you thinking as a fan, as a writer, as as just a person. Like, what are we going to do? What are we prepared to do? That's the biggest question that I have for Philadelphia Union.
Take another kid from the academy and make 10 times on him, but not invest in a new player, but rather the academy again. And it's a circle.
It's all I know.
And that's okay. That's what's worked for the Union over the last couple of years, but is that what's going to work going forward with the new parameters that I think the league is going to be adopting? And that's a difficult question, right? The Union have put all their chips on building this new academy building that you see, a construction site right outside the stadium. Rest in peace, as member of a press, we used to get a really, really sweet parking lot called BVIP, which rest in peace. That was, I kid you not, 30 yards from the entrance. So
I remember. Yeah, we used to go there a lot.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I don't know. I almost wonder if the Union. It's hard to say regret, right? Because it's good to develop a healthy academy. I keep on going back to Manchester City because that's one of the teams I support and support it well before the sovereign wealth that came in with the Abu Dhabi group, etc. But
he's a Chelsea fan. I'm a Man U fan. This is just
that's okay. I think about you think about what even Pep Guardiola said today with players like Cole Palmer, right, who are good enough to probably start in 9 out of probably somewhere in the top 10, but he just doesn't fit in Man City. Like, where does he go? Could it be if there's a relationship that is relaxed and above water, go to an NYCFC, or does he go to their Portuguese affiliate, or does he go to their whatever affiliate? It's just so fascinating to think all the possibilities, and obviously we're totally speculating, but I don't know. I wonder what the Union feel now, having put their chips on this new academy building and what the future looks like in the next couple of years. Just I never expected that out of this league going into whatever. What is this? The 20-some year of the league being revived. I can't remember when it was revived, but I think it's like in the 20-somethings. I could be wrong. It's just it's such a fascinating time.
It's been somewhere around there, yeah. But I think because of what happened before, I think that's why the owners are maybe they're not scared, but they're being a little conservative in terms of just opening the floodgates for everybody to come here. They don't want the league to go through to just break apart like it did the first time, essentially. I understand that we do live in a different world than we did before. I think having Lionel here it's gonna help you in that matter. But I absolutely do agree that it's going to change, and then you see like you said mid-season it's already changed. The worst team in the league is about to play in the finals of the League's Cup, so at some point the Union are going to have to just kind of take a look in the mirror and say, well, okay, maybe we should be at least trying to get people here.
Either one of you going on Saturday?
No, not this Saturday.
I unfortunately have to work Saturday night,
so
I'll be watching the game at work.
Pat's going to be there though.
Is he going? I'm guessing as press now.
Yeah, he's going press. Yeah, I'll be going. Yeah, September 3rd. I'll be there for the game.
Is that Red Bulls?
That's
I believe that is Red Bull.
I think so.
Regardless, I guess what I was kind of get at is, I see a lot of Negadelphia, right? What we keep on seeing after tough losses, what we experienced in February with the Eagles, and now, gosh, we're experiencing it in a mid-season tournament with the Union. But I
think it was just the way we lost
and that's absolutely it. But I guess what I want to get at is, how much more negative it'll get after today. I saw a report and shared it about Monterey going to go ahead and play mainly substitutes. They have nothing to win, right? They're already qualified to the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Let's get that new term right. It's no longer the CONCACAF Champions League. It's the Champions Cup. But how much more negative can this fandom get when we see triple-digit jerseys scoring goals against us, right?
Well, it's Philadelphia, so we do happen to do that a lot, and with every team.
I guess we have to qualify for the Champions Cup. Otherwise, man, our ability to be relevant is just demise. Never mind the financial.
That's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm mostly afraid of. It's the staying relevant because people like to win, and the best way to just kind of keep the interest there is by playing well. So if we kind of take a step back from the way that we were playing, I'm afraid that whatever traction that we've gotten in the last year or two it's just kind of go back a little bit, right? Because it's been more. I've had people come talk to me about the Union that I never thought that they would even watch a soccer game, dude. Like it's been nuts because all of my friends know how much I love soccer. Like my whole life, it's been my number one sport, and I'm very open about that. As much as I love the Eagles, as much as I love the Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, soccer's my number one sport. Like the MLS, I haven't watched the MLS since it started. But the sport itself, I've watched. The first ball I ever kicked when I was 3 years old was a soccer ball. It's my first gift. You know what I'm saying? So that's to see finally join the Union and then to see you go back. It'll be tough.
The first circular thing I kicked when I was young was my brother's head. So maybe there's a little bit of a difference between. No, I get it. Listen, Gustavo, I totally get it. I being South American, totally get that, right? You get tossed in the crib with a pacifier, a blanket, and a soccer ball when you're born in some of these countries. So I totally understand that. So were either one of you at the Messi game this past week? Austin, were you there?
No,
okay.
Diego.
I'm a partial season ticket holder, and by the time I got there, they were completely sold out.
What do you guys make of the ticket pricing scheme and everything? That I say scheme, but I don't mean it as like scheming, but rather like the way that they approached it.
A lot of people were upset, and I did notice because I joined a couple of union groups on social media. So a lot of people were upset about like what they're doing to the fans. I wasn't as upset because I already knew it was going to happen, so I
Sure.
kind of prepared myself in that aspect that people were, I don't think at some point. I mean, you have to expect it. I just still, and I'm going to say it again. I don't think people realize how big Messi actually is here. Uh, I don't think people really get that to their head because they see like, oh yeah, LeBron's coming. No, it's not LeBron. It's LeBron, Jordan, and Tom Brady combined into one. Like
it's
not
interesting.
only that.
It's interesting to me to hear the takes, right? Especially larger um, press outlets, right, where they more or less glorify the fact that this man's raising the ticket prices, right? Like you see the stories of, the average ticket price for the Leagues Cup final in Nashville is now sitting at $780. It's like, that should not be something you're really happy about. That should be more of a something's going wrong. But in terms of the union and Austin, maybe I'm playing host here, but Austin, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Could they have done anything better? I mean, for them to price some of these at $120 or $200 for either a standing room only or to sit in the the river end. The thought was from some people of like, well, they should just be regular price. Okay, for what? For bots to take them and then resell them at 1,000 times the price. Like I just don't know what the solution is. And I thought actually the unions was pretty clever, right? Let the people who opted in, let the season ticket holders have them at $190. And if they really wanted them, great. If not, go ahead and just don't get them and let someone else buy them for $250. What are your thoughts, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, I actually I had called into Pat's show on Sunday, and their producer Al actually asked me the same question. I totally understand it when you consider the level of celebrity that Lionel Messi is in the sport of soccer. Like it's like Gus said, it's the combination of like pick all of the greatest like sports players in our country and fuse them into one man, and you get like 17.3% of what Lionel Messi is. Like it's just like the level of celebrity, how well known he is, and aside from that, like just the fact that like it actually happened. I feel like some of that is still just like most of that. I feel like most of the issue with ticket price is going to just be the fact that people are still in awe over the fact that Lionel Messi is actually here. Like, and like you said, it's that consistent thought of like, it's probably more of like the Americanization of the sport here is the fact that people are like, man, it's so expensive, but it's Leo Messi. It's literally this. He is the thing that I feel like if done right can push MLS into another level of competition.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with somebody as I was making my way around, and I was walking around with a little gimbal, taking videos and taking pictures, etc. And the one guy was like, "So what do you do?" And anyways, asked me what I was doing, and just started, a conversation. He had driven from North Carolina. His ticket alone, standing room, was like $250, $300, but he just wanted to be in the same stadium to be able to see Messi, which he really didn't because where he was standing, he was looking at the video board. There was no way unless he got there. So I pulled up into the parking lot at around 2:15, and I was just shooting some B-roll and just taking some videos to sort of document the day a little bit. So I saw all of the madness unfold from the beginning. If you weren't at that stadium at the gates opening, which was what, like 5:00? No, 5:00 was for press. 6:00, I guess. I can't remember, but
yeah, somewhere around there usually.
If you weren't there to get up against the fence in the standing room only and stood there the whole time, there was no way you were seeing the field. There's just no way, absolutely no way. And the amount of security I saw, like those party buses that people rent for bachelor and bachelorette parties. Yeah. I saw two of those pull up to the stadium, and all of these burly guys, with the typical security shirts coming out of it because they needed the added security. So
it's just many people that you're not used to seeing at a Silver Park. And we have Eric here coming, and most of the complaining was from casuals, in my opinion, anyway. They wouldn't buy for previous games, but now that it matters, they want it for cheap. That's not how it works. And I mean, that's one way to look at it when you think about it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If something's attractive, it's going to cost more. There's a reason why, well, at least right now, you're probably going to spend less to go see a Flyers game than you would an Eagles game, right? So, to some to some extent that is correct. But like I said, I prepared myself for it. I already knew that was going to happen. Before before they were even playing Miami. I said if Messi does come to Philadelphia, I don't care that the River Inn against Querétaro was $34. That ticket's going to if it doesn't sell to a season ticket holder, it's going to sell for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, no,
that's just the way it is.
It's crazy. I now see it, and maybe you guys saw it too, but folks in Nashville feeling the same pain, right? And next year, or I guess the last 12 games of the regular MLS season, games that are not at home for Miami, it's going to be a lot of pain for regular supporters who have gone over the years. Never mind, the random mom and dad who suddenly want to go, but then realize, why are the tickets so expensive? And then they read the lineup and hopefully figure out who the guy with the MESSI, what he draws and what he means. So, growing pains for this league.
Do you think people see it as, yeah, it's kind of messed up right now, but ultimately it's doing good for the league? Because this is kind of what the MLS owners wanted, right?
I see it. I do see it that way, and I think that's maybe to the chagrin of my co-host in terms of Dave and Mike in a way. This is genuinely a good thing, and I think Jorge Mas and David Beckham and that ownership group have to be commended for being super creative on how to bring this guy over, right? Whether they incited the help of Adidas and Apple to make it happen, I don't know. Obviously, both of them benefit immensely, right? You have Messi go into a league where all they sell is Adidas, and you go into a league where the only way to watch it really is Apple, outside of a 4:00 Fox game every other Sunday, and maybe a random game in some other avenue.
This is the most that Europe, South America, and other parts of the world has actually put eyes on the MLS.
Yeah,
this is what it does, especially through Apple.
And that's just it, right? And I think at some point I remember talking to Bedoya about it. I don't want to say off the record, but I just didn't have my phone out, and he was very clear. This is an inflection point for this league, right? A lot's going to change, and sure, we can rehash to talk about spending and transfers, etc., till the sun rises again. But for him, it's more of this is what pushes the league to the next level, right? You had MLS 1.0, then you had MLS 2.0. Fast forward to the Beckham experiment, which I would argue is 3.0. Then you have this Latin / New York City FC years, who I would probably go ahead and say, okay, another major market coming online. Never mind another great player coming, not necessarily at their prime, but coming into a very, very good spot. Fast forward then to last couple of years with teams that are figuring out how to raise talent and keep them, or sell them for really, really high fees, with the Jose Almirons and some other faces that have come and gone through this league as discoveries. And now fast forward to now, mid-season with Lionel Messi. I think this is the next iteration of MLS, but I fall on the side that this is a good thing. I keep on seeing comments and again, talking to Tom Boger at the game. I talked to him about his article where he sort of breaks down, how did Miami make this happen? And he walked me through all of the math. It makes sense. It's all above water, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you think it's right or wrong, that's obviously up to you. But it works within the definitions of the league's rules right now. But
they're going to be lax, though. I feel like in the next couple of years they will be a little more lax with the rules themselves. They were put in there for a reason. The MLS is still a business, just like every other league in the country. So they were put in there for a reason. But I think with this kind of influx that Messi's bringing in, I think that we're going to see a little more lax, especially with the international rules that people coming over here.
Yeah, I don't see this league as the MLS, and I know you're running into literally an hour here, so you can tell me to just shut up and go. But I don't see the Saudi Arabian league actually competing with the likes of the Premier League and Spain,
No.
France, etc. They're competing with the MLS. I wholeheartedly think that they're almost following the playbook that the that the MLS was following at one point, right? Stars that were maybe at their prime at some point, now coming to finish their career, or are now just blossoming, etc.
Well, they are getting some good play. I mean, Conte, I love his style of play. I think
Sure.
he can still play at a very high level. Benzema just won the Ballon d'Or, even though he's up there in age, but he can still play. Ronaldo's is old, but I mean he just won their cup. So
Yeah,
um,
well, what's interesting is the piece of news that came out just earlier this week or last week at some point, with Fox getting the TV rights for the Saudi Arabian League. So some of those
well, that's
games will
interesting.
actually
You didn't
be,
hear about that.
yeah, those games are going to be on Fox. So when you think about, again, the arms race for content that you see from a lot of these different companies, Apple has MLS, and Fox and ESPN haven't just given up their prized possession of MLS. You see Fox picking up the Saudi Arabian League with a
Well,
lot of these names.
yeah,
So
we'll see. Because even Neymar. I mean, Neymar's 31,
Yeah.
right? He's
I
he's
know
still.
that's so young. I'm 32. That's unbelievably young. That's like the youngest, as young as you can get.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not like super young, but he's 31 years old in today's world as an athlete. It's really not that old when
God,
you
thank
think
God
about
you
it. I
said as
mean,
an athlete before that.
what's that?
I said, thank God you said as an athlete before that, because I am 33 and I
Yeah,
do not
you get
feel
what I mean?
33. I feel so old.
I'm 34. My niece are about 63. That's a different story, though. We're not talking about me. We're talking about Neymar. Neymar at 31 years old, he can still play, and he's going to play for a number of years. He's going to still play for Brazil, and he's going to still score. I mean, 31 as an athlete today, whether you're playing soccer, you're playing basketball, football, whatever the case may be.
Austin, are you
Today,
tuning? Are you going to be tuning into the Saudi Arabian leagues on the weekends?
I might dabble. I might dabble a little bit. See what
I absolutely
who's
will.
who.
I'm curious. I really because I can't say that I've ever seen an Al Hilal match or like I've never seen an Al Nazir match. I've never seen
Yeah.
any Saudi game. I'm curious. I want to see what kind of what kind of football they come out with.
Yeah, I feel like out of love for the sport, I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, Diego saying Neymar gets paid for 2 years in Saudi Arabia, then just retires.
Did you see the perks that he got? By the way,
Yeah, I saw that. That's unbelievable. Five
Oh,
five full-time
it's
employees, 25
hilarious.
bedrooms. It's unreal. But
He gets paid $500,000 every time he posts to promote the league.
wow, I always think of these videos where they announce themselves or talk about how great the league is and why they're coming, and I almost feel like it's a hostage video, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right. It almost feels like it, but if you're getting paid $500,000, I mean, what?
listen,
Bro, if
though,
I'm getting paid $500,000 to be on a camera, keep one on me all day.
yeah.
I don't care.
I guess my parting thoughts is I genuinely will get out of here and let you guys go, or if you guys are finishing the show, whatever. A lot of respect though for Messi. He could have gotten the money in the bag, and I would have totally
Absolutely.
understood it. Right? He's already got generational wealth, but what he was about to get could have been like
It was
centuries worth of money,
ridiculous.
that type of thing. But during today's press conference and the subsequent interviews that he did, he was and I said this on Twitter, I genuinely cannot think of a better location for him. Like, sure, he could have gone to LA or maybe a Dallas team where you have Spanish speaking people that are predominant in those areas, either of the LA teams really. But
Well,
Miami
Miami
just
also.
no, and that's just it, right? During that press conference, he was very quick to praise just how great the people in Miami are versus other places where he could have gone because of the Latino way, right, of being
He doesn't like to speak other
welcoming.
languages either. Lionel
He
Messi is not.
refuses.
Yeah, it's not one to speak of the. Even if when he played in France, all his press conference always in Spanish. Like he does not like to speak other languages, and whether
Yeah, so
that's
he was
if he doesn't like the way it sounds or whatever the case would be, I don't know. But I think Lionel Messi as a person seems like he's very he as much of a super ridiculous star that he is. I feel like he likes to kind of blend in. And guess what? Like when you come into America as a soccer star the way he is, you kind of can. Like you can go to Publix with your family and maybe not get harassed by millions of people, right? And I think to some extent that might have played in his mind before making the decision. Also, like to me at least, I don't know Messi personally, but that's just what it seems like.
Yeah, he was very appreciative, and I'm just sort of happy for him, right? He gets to
Yeah.
do what he wants and gets to play where he wants. Could it have been in Chester, Pennsylvania? Maybe. I, I absolutely doubt it. Of course, that's not the way it played out. But yeah, I'd be fall in the camp of this is a net positive for the league, as painful as it's going to be for a lot of teams in the next couple of years. And who knows, right? He's here for 2 years, 2.5 years. I can't remember. So yeah, I we got to just try to enjoy it as difficult as losses like this past Tuesday are. But for
Look to
now,
the future. Look to the future. That's
yeah.
what we want.
Yeah, well, I'll get out of here, guys. Sorry to
All right, man. No, thanks
crash.
for appreciate it.
You're
We'll
fine,
hit you
man.
up next time. We'd love to have you, man.
No,
Yeah, so good
absolutely.
to have you on, man.
I found myself doing that a whole lot, so I figured I'd come on and say hi. I did not expect to be here for 50 minutes.
You're good, man. This is what happens when you talk about something you love. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll see Pat at the stadium on Saturday, but I hope to see you gents hopefully September 3rd, if not at a different game.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
All right, take it easy,
Have
guys.
a good one, man.
You too, man.
All right, Austin. Listen, we're running a little over, but before we get out of here, I know I wanted us to grade the players, kind of going down from 1 to 10. Where do you put them? Let's just real quick.
Are
We'll
we
go
doing
go
one
bang
as
bang
best?
bang.
Are we doing 1 as best, 10 as worst, or
No, we're doing 1 is worst, 10 is best.
okay? All of them were 1 except for Jose Martinez. He played at about a 7.
Well, I have a couple different ones. Donovan,
I give Bedoya a 1.3 because he scored, so he gets a little bit of credit.
let's just start with Donovan. What do you think?
Donovan, probably like a at best a mid 3 grade.
See, I thought he played relatively well. I don't think that was his position to be there, but he took it as if he had a chance at goal and a very good header. I'm gonna give him a 5. I'm gonna maybe a 6. I'm gonna give him a 5, a solid 5 though, just because even he was in there, but he was involved. So I'm gonna be a little more generous. What about Gastag?
Gastag, I feel like if he played better defensively in the early start of the game, his grade would be higher. I have him at about like a 4.
Okay, I have him a 5, so that makes sense. What about Bueno?
Bueno, I give him like a 6.5, maybe closer to a 7.
Same thing.
Simply because of the fact that the way he was able to like step up and assist Martinez with having to deal with Messi sometimes on the defensive end showed a lot of pardon my language, showed a lot of balls to really get in there like that and mix it up with one of the best players. So I definitely give him high grades for that, and especially just because of overall the play that he's had recently it's slowly been making me want to see more of him, and seeing him in that situation and to see how he reacted to it was definitely a gross positive for Jesus Bueno as a member of the
let's go bang bang bang, because I know we're up against it here. We'll go Flock 5.
3.
Okay, Brujo, I got him at about a 7.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on a 7.
Wagner,
I give him I actually give him a 7. A lot of his service was good, especially in the second half game. He was getting
I have him at 6. Harriel.
Harriel. See, this is the thing with Harriel, is he always has a solid performance and then comes out flat the next game, but still shows flashes of like he could still like be able to crack the 11.
I got him at a 6.
The doomer and gloomer in me wants to agree with Diego and give him an absolute 0. But
I have him a 6. I think he played, what he played. I think he played pretty solid. Not great, but pretty solid.
I give him a 5, but it's closer to like a 4.7 than it would be an actual 5.
Let's go low. I have him at
3. A 3. Yeah, I was just about to say 3.
What about Elliot?
Elliot, I give him like a mid to high 6, possibly a 7.
I have him at 6. Glessness,
same.
I have them because they both actually played around the same. Blake, this is going to be a tough one for me. And I usually have him at 10 all the time.
I honestly
have him at a 4.
I was going to say maybe close to a 5, but I have him like mid 4 to possibly even sub 4, maybe like a high 3.
Okay, and then we'll go just whoever subbed in. Ua, pretty just.
He had some good runs. He had some good runs. He had some good looks at goal. I'd give him like a 5, maybe like 5.5.
What about Sullivan? I have him. I wasn't really involved too much. I have him at a 4.
Yeah, I'd give him about a 4.5 because he didn't really see a lot of looks on the ball, but he was doing a lot of work off the ball, but it wasn't really enough to make a huge difference, unfortunately.
I'm really excited to hear this answer from you. And I'm going to give him the benefit of that because he did have the goal. Bedoya, I have him at a 7.
5.
Interesting.
He got the goal, but the fact that he, aside from that, didn't really do a ton. Like, he had one other good look with the ball, but
he took care of the clean sheet we were going to have. So I'll give him some points for that. What about the last one, Jack McGlynn?
Jack McGlynn, again, really good service in the second half of that game from him too, coming off of some free kicks and some corners. I would give him a 6, maybe a 6.5.
And you know what? I lied. That's not the last one. One more. Some say the most important one. Jim Curtin.
Man, you cut me in half, dog.
I got him at a 2.
It's understandable. Like he had said in the press conference, it was some of the things that I was alluding to a bit earlier on, and it's stuff that it was quotes that I got from Curtin through Jose and Mike Barrera over at Across the Pitch was they were really just showing too much respect for Messi, and I feel like it got to their heads a little bit. And
yeah. It was a tough one to watch again from the Union.
Yeah.
We got beat so bad that we almost had to call our man.
Oh, I'm about to even better. We don't even have to segue in. Folks, we're gonna leave y'all with the ad run, and we'll see y'all next week. Oh,
our boy David Cherry, the man.
It's a video.
The Union got beat so bad we almost called him, man.
Dude, here we go. We'll see y'all next week. Love yous. Stay safe. Go you.
All right, guys, let's talk about Cherry Law Firm. If you get hurt at work in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you got to call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Firm. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your rights. Again, that number is 610-565-0300. That's 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your right. All right, guys. All right, guys, it's time to talk about Sherry's Tickets. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. That's EOP10 Do not pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard to come by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. That's 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, do not overpay and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. Save 10% using the promo code EOP10. That's EOP10. You'll thank us later. Sherry'sTickets.com. All right, guys, if you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. Go to phillysportstrips.com. They have self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights from the Philadelphia airport. Packages include direct flights, 4-night stays, all-inclusive tailgate parties, lower-level group tickets. Whatever you want, you got it with phillysportstrips.com. If you want to travel to an upcoming Phillies game, make sure you check out Philly Sports Trips. And do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2023 season. Jump on it now, because you do not want to lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com. All right, guys, when you're staying local and you want to watch a great game or just hang out with some great people, make sure to go to Dolan's Bar at 24 East Sellers Avenue at Ridley Park. Right off of I-95, south of Philadelphia Airport, Dolan's Bar is the place to be. Great music, great times, memorabilia giveaways, great drinks, and even better food. You never know when a former Philly sports icon walks through the door. You got to go to Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Ave at Ridley Park. Tell PJ that EOP sent you. Go to dolansbar.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok. We'll see you there for the game.